will now be on the record in 23 TR 2777, State of Kansas versus Anthony Edward Dubus. Jared Regier for the state. Is Mr. Dubus present? Anthony Dubus?
I am Anthony Edward Dubus. Dubus is the English pronunciation. Dubus is the original French. And I am appearing specially in propria persona, not pro se, as sui juris.
Okay, first of all, I can't see you, so you're not here.
Parents satisfied?
Thank you, sir. Now,
absolutely.
As far as I need to go, well, we need you back here in person.
Okay, well, it's propria persona, not in person. I'm not the legal entity that you're claiming me to be.
All right, sir, if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I'm just removing it as it's taped. It takes a while.
Now, the second order of business, let's get your name straight. I know a family with the same exact spelling in America, and they do pronounce it Dubus, but you said you pronounce it
Dubus, as the original. Dubus.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's courtroom drama unfolds in Butler County, Kansas, where things take a turn from routine to surreal in record time. Meet Anthony Edward Dubus, or as he insists, Dubus, the original French. What starts as a simple traffic violation spirals into a battle of legal semantics, constitutional claims, and self-proclaimed sovereignty. Across the bench, Judge Webster, calm, sharp, and utterly unamused, stands as the immovable object to Dubus' unstoppable delusion. From debating the pronunciation of his own name to redefining driving as traveling, this defendant seems determined to test every ounce of the court's patience. But here's the question: is this defiance born from conviction or confusion? Stick around, because what unfolds next is equal parts law school lecture, linguistic gymnastics, and courtroom chaos you truly have to hear.
Well, in this court, it's in person, and
correction, in all courts, it may be either pro se, either appear in person, or propria persona.
Well, in my years of law school and nearly 40 years of practice, both as an attorney and a judge, it's been in person, and that's what I'm going with, sir. I believe that is just fine. So in any event, we will proceed with your charges. In count one, sir, you're charged with operating a motor vehicle on a highway of this state without having a valid driver's license, pursuant to KSA 8-235A. In count two, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, you did then and there unlawfully operate or attempt to operate a motor vehicle, to wit, a 2003 Honda Accord, upon a highway of the state, to wit, 1700 block of East Foxtail Street, Andover, Butler County, Kansas, while the vehicle was not registered in violation of KSA 8-142. In count three, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, Anthony Edward Dubus,
Thank you, Myron.
unlawfully and intentionally drive a motor vehicle upon a public highway or property open to use by the public and failed to provide proof of insurance upon demand by a law enforcement officer. Now, sir, if you had insurance when you were stopped but just didn't have it with you or couldn't find it quickly, just provide proof to the county attorney and they'll most likely dismiss that charge. But if you really didn't have insurance, you're looking at a Class B non-person misdemeanor. The law does require a minimum fine if you're convicted of $300 up to $1,000, and it does have a possible jail sentence up to 6.
Feel the temperature rise in the room. Judge Webster's reading of the charges is clinical and concise, but notice how she pauses, almost anticipating resistance. And right on cue, Dubus dives straight into sovereign citizen rhetoric. Here's the thing. Intentional misinterpretation of legal language is a hallmark of this movement. They cling to archaic or misunderstood legal terms like propria persona or in commerce to claim exemption from laws that apply to everyone else. But that defense? It's never worked. Not once. The irony? The judge actually tries to meet him halfway, patiently clarifying pronunciation, explaining statutes, and even offering to dismiss a charge if he shows insurance. Yet instead of taking the lifeline, Dubus doubles down. It's a masterclass in how not to talk.
Qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You don't have to have an attorney, though. You can waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself. So that's an order of business we need to take care of today, is whether you want an attorney or not. And then another is to make sure that you understand what the charges are and the possible penalties. Do you have any questions for me about that?
Yeah, I don't understand the nature and cause of the charges. I have not had my accuser face me to bring the charges against me, as is a violation of due process. And I want to correct, for the record of the court, the named defendant is different than the named person, being myself. Hold on, let me make sure I get that in view of the camera. The named person here is different than the one named in the charges and the counts, being a difference of representation of who exactly it is the charges are against. And it is to my belief and knowledge that per KAR 8243 subsection A, exemption from the motor carrier safety regulations, A, the occasional transportation of personal property by private motor carriers that is not for compensation and is not in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise. I am exempt from these rules and regulations, and if I need to get a USDOT number to show that I was not operating a commercial motor vehicle or as a common carrier for business or for profit or in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, I will be more than happy to produce that USDOT number to show that I am in fact a private motor carrier, not operating in
Is the classic "I'm a private traveler, not a commercial driver" argument. This one's been around for decades, recycled through internet forums and pseudo-legal circles. But in the real world? It's legally meaningless. Kansas law, like every other state, defines driving as operating a motor vehicle on public roads, full stop. Whether you're delivering pizza or picking up groceries, you're bound by the same traffic statutes. Notice how Judge Webster stays composed, almost surgical in her reply. She doesn't argue ideology, she simply grounds the discussion back in statute. That's what separates a professional jurist from a YouTube lawyer. It's not about winning the argument, it's about keeping the courtroom tethered to
Adopted by the state of Kansas. You are charged just as a motorist operating a motor vehicle. Again, not a commercial vehicle. These are not laws that are subject to the commercial code or to the administrative regulation that you referred.
Although you mentioned the word operating. Operating is a term used for the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, or driving, operating, the physical use or furtherance of for-profit business or for compensation.
It may under the commercial code, but not under the code otherwise.
It is under Kansas, correct?
It is not under Chapter 8 of the Kansas statutes or Chapter 40, which are filed under. But we can address that at a later date at a trial or a motions hearing if necessary. But I do not see the statutory language that you're addressing being applicable to these statutes, at least preliminarily at this hearing.
It is within, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's my ruling there. And then on the name issue, I am not tracking you there. The only difference I see is that at the top of the document, state of Kansas and your name are capitalized, and in the initial or in the individual charges, it's traditional capital letter of the first name, all lowercase of the remaining names throughout. So I'm not following that argument. Again, if you want to readdress that at a later date, we can, but I'm just not seeing that argument.
Okay.
Now
Well, I motion and move this court to dismiss this case for the motion I have filed and for the brief in support of motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction.
Sir, I do not have any such motion or brief in support.
This is where the procedural breakdown really starts. Dubus claims he filed a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction, but neither the prosecutor nor the judge has ever seen it. Why? Because he apparently emailed it to the wrong courthouse. This is the moment where theory meets reality. Legal filings aren't optional formalities, they're the foundation of due process. If you don't follow the correct channels, your argument doesn't even make it into the record. You can hear Judge Webster straining to keep the process orderly. She's not dismissive, she's instructive. She's literally explaining how to properly submit a motion. It's both patient and painfully ironic. The very system Dubus rejects is the only one offering him due process.
Unless the court is aware of something that I am not aware of.
Well, that's what I'm trying to decide, if it's properly before the court. Mr. Dubois, who did you file the motion and brief with?
Well, seeing as your guys' e-file is down for what is it? It's called a ransom malware or something. I cannot e-file.
Right,
so
but you can mail it, or you can walk it into the clerk of the court. Have you done that?
Yes, I've mailed it. By email, which a court
I'm sorry,
clerk
when
said I could.
Okay, go ahead, please. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. It was by email, which the court clerk said I could, considering the e-file was down. And I can't really go 20-something miles to do that, considering my personal property was stolen.
You serious?
Judge,
When did you email it, sir? When did you email it?
A while ago.
Judge,
Yeah.
Yes.
we do not accept emailed filings, only faxed or by mail or person.
Okay,
I'm
I was
sorry.
told that they do not have fax, so I could not do that. So email would be okay.
He may have called the wrong courthouse then.
They spent 10 minutes finding my case because your guys' system was down. So I'm fairly certain it was the correct one.
Okay. Do you recall which you filed or which court you called?
Let me go to my sent. T Stafford at bucokansas.com.
I think that might be at the county courthouse, not the district courthouse.
Okay. So if you want to file something, sir, let's make sure you file it in a fashion that will get it officially recognized. So Ashley, how do you suggest he file motions and the like?
He will either need to mail us a copy of it or he can fax file.
And is your guys' fax active?
Yes, it has been the whole time.
Okay,
It's
and
not affected, yes.
what's the fax number?
Our fax number is 316-321-9.
This part feels like watching two people speak entirely different languages. Dubus insists the court must declare whether he's being tried under common law or of military tribunal, terms that sound dramatic but have zero relevance here. In Kansas, criminal jurisdiction is clearly defined. There's no secret maritime law, no hidden military court. It's just criminal procedure, period. Yet for sovereign citizens, redefining reality is part of the strategy. The more they blur legal boundaries, the more they convince themselves they've found a loophole. What's fascinating here is the judge's restraint. She doesn't mock or argue, she just keeps redirecting him to the actual issue. Do you want an attorney? Because no matter how tangled his theories get, the court still has to protect his constitutional.
My honor, I have one last question. For the nature and cause of these charges, is it a criminal or is it a civil matter?
This is a criminal matter.
Okay. As it is a criminal matter, there are two jurisdictions which I may be tried. One is the common law, and the other is a military tribunal. Which of those two do you intend to try me in?
I intend to try you in this one, sir.
Which is this one? Please elaborate.
The criminal one.
Well, criminal has two jurisdictions. It is either the common law or it is the military tribunal.
Well, sir, we're not going to go into that at this point.
Are you refusing to acknowledge to me and tell me the nature and cause of the charges?
I have told you the nature and the cause of the charges.
You are not elaborating.
I think the remaining issue, sir, is whether you're going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself.
One of the most surreal turns yet. After citing the U.S. Code on treason, Dubus essentially accuses the court of committing it, all because it refuses to adopt his personal definition of jurisdiction. Here's the reality check. Treason is defined as waging war against the United States or aiding its enemies, not enforcing traffic laws. But this is where ideology overtakes logic. For many sovereign citizens, the system itself becomes the enemy. Every ruling, every correction feels like persecution, and through it all, Judge Webster stays calm. That composure? It's not detachment, it's professionalism under fire. Because when you're presiding over a courtroom like this, emotional control is your greatest
Or represent yourself, sir.
Again, I'm not representing myself. I am sui juris in proper persona or propria persona.
So you're not going to have an attorney, or are you?
No, I'm not going to be presented or re-presented by any British agent, registrant, or anybody else to be a ward of the state. I'm standing on my rights, and I do not abrogate them. And if you're going to continue to move this court without any sort of evidence, well, I guess I'll have to file that. But
We're going to set your hearing. How do you want to plead to the charges first? Then, if you don't want to have an attorney, how do you want to plead to no valid driver's license?
My honor, are you attempting to administer the trust without permission and consent?
I'm asking you for your response. I'm giving you the chance to respond. Do you want to plead to this charge or not?
My honor, I don't make any pleas as I am appearing in propria persona, and any plea would submit jurisdiction to the court. I am here challenging jurisdiction under the common law as I am owed the law of peace. And this is a fraud action as fraud in the inducement from the beginning under due process violations from Deputy Khalid Barake and the other officers or sheriffs that were on scene. And if you are attempting to administer the trust without consent of myself, the living man, the grantor, in common law, which is above Admiralty Maritime Law, then you will be in violation.
And with that, the gavel falls, not with drama, but with quiet finality. Judge Webster adjourns the hearing, having patiently endured an hour of sovereign legal theater. What we just witnessed wasn't just a courtroom clash, it was a collision between belief in law, illusion, and authority. Anthony Dubus walked in convinced he could outmaneuver the system with wordplay and pseudo-statutes. Instead, he left facing the same charges, plus a reality check that no YouTube tutorial could fix. What do you think? Was Judge Webster too patient or perfectly poised? If you found this case as shocking as we did, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns. Because when legal fantasy meets real-world justice, the results never disappoint.